Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreyer, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing The Retaliators. Just who are The Retaliators? Well, we'll find out tonight. All right, joining me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. For a while, I thought this was a Stephen King movie, but that's The Regulators, right, Dave? I got
yes,
that wrong.
yes. How dare you confuse this with a
Oh, no.
I'm shunning you for the rest of the night, Jeff Mohr.
I'm shunned.
Hold all of your business. All right. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Mohr.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry
Christmas.
'Tis the season.
Are you
Merry Christmas.
Are you the black stripes or the white stripes?
I'm both.
Oh!
I'm the stripes within the stripes.
Do you have any trouble picking out your tree, Christopher?
Yes. I had a lot of trouble picking it out because
Damn.
some people just don't want you to let you have the tree that you want.
Damn clerks guy.
Which is the theme of this movie. Is it what?
Rounding out the crew is the one and only Dave Dreyer. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good. Hello, gentlemen. Are we ready to discuss rock and roll movies?
We are.
You could say that after our conversation before the podcast started. You could call us gentlemen.
Yes.
Well, this is true. Some things are better left not known about.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Buried the lead. All right, we are going to review The Retaliators, which is a new film out in theaters for I think one day showing, and then it's going to be out on VOD. It's going to be an interesting discussion. What we're going to do is start off giving you our first impressions. That will be spoiler free, and then we'll dive into a discussion, and we will dive into some spoilers, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5. And our favorite scene. All right. We hope that you enjoyed not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend. It will do wonders for us. We are trying to reach 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. So every little bit helps. Thank you so much. And of course, we'd love to hear your comments down below.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's do the card. The Retaliators 2022 from Better Noise. Available in theaters September 14th, 2022. Synopsis: an upstanding pastor uncovers a dark and twisted underworld as he searches for answers surrounding his daughter's brutal murder. Directors are Samuel Gonzalez Jr., Michael Lombardi, and Bridget Smith. Writers are Darren Geare and Jeff Allen Geare. The cast includes Michael Lombardi, Marc Menchaca, is that right? Joseph Gatt, Katie Kelly, Abbey Hafer, Jacoby Shaddix, yes, Brian O'Halloran, Shannan Wilson, Zoltan Bathory, and Robert Knepper. Yes, Teabag. Well, it also has. You guys don't know Teabag? Oh, Dave, Teabag, tell them.
I ain't saying a word.
No.
You're gonna wallow in that one all by yourself.
Well, I'm not wallowing in the teabag. Oh man, you guys. Prison Break. All right. It also has Tommy Lee, Five Finger Death Punch, Jacob Shaddix, the lead singer for Papa Roach, Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills, Escape the Fate, and The Who. Yes, that's right, Dave. Right, The Who. The Hue. This is embarrassing. All right, what we're going to do is give our first impressions, and Dave, as the music
I knew
aficionado in the group, I'm really curious to hear what you say. What did you think of The Retaliators?
Well, here's the thing. This really has not much to do with music whatsoever, other than the fact that these guys, make these little quick cameo appearances in the film itself, and they are involved in the soundtrack. So that's a good thing. I think of all the musical stars in this, Jacoby Shaddix has the largest role as Quinn Brady, of course, lead singer of Papa Roach. Everyone else, all 5 members of Five Finger Death Punch are in this, but they're day players at best. Tommy Lee, day player at best. It's just kind of
a lot of cameos.
Cameos. Yeah, exactly. So they're really not in the film, much to say. And Tommy Lee's pretty much at this point just become a parody of himself.
Yeah, he's playing himself.
Yeah, so for advertising purposes, I get it why they marketed it the way they did, but don't log into this thinking this is a Studio 666 where the band is prominently featured in the film, because they absolutely are not. With that being said, though, the soundtrack is actually pretty decent. I haven't been able to listen to the entire thing. I've listened to the bulk of it, but a lot of good bands in this. I love Asking Alexander. Bad Wolves are fantastic. Escape the Fate and Eva Under Fire, all good. The Five Finger Death Punch only has one song on the album. Papa Roach only has one song on the album, but it's a solid soundtrack. But again, has very, very little to do with the film itself.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of like when they used to put Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons and like he'd show up on the TV, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I mean, they're prominent on the advertising and on the poster, and then at the end of the day, that's it. You see them on the cereal box or something,
Yeah. So what is your first impression? You didn't.
I really did not care for this film.
Oh, there you go. That's why you were being so.
It is
elusive.
It is bloody towards the end. It's kind of a mess. The way it's set up, it starts off and then kind of veers off in a whole different direction. Kind of becomes a mystery kind of underworld gangs type thing, and then it becomes a horror film again at the end. I hear lots of online people saying it's a lot like Evil Dead. I think it's only like Evil Dead in its kind of frantic style of filmmaking once we get into the bloodshed, but it's a loose copy of it. It's nowhere near that. It's just weird. It's I think Christopher will be able to talk to this much better than me. I can't quite put it into words, but it's oddly outlined and just really oddly pieced together. And I found it started off interesting, then got really stupid, and then finished off bloody.
All right. Interesting, stupid, and bloody. Okay. All right. Christopher G. Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of the Retaliators?
Well, I think if you took a drink every time there's a cameo by some music person, you probably would have alcoholic poisoning by the end.
Might be the point.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wish after watching it. No. I will say that the film is shot competently in parts. Editing wise, it has some issues, especially when it comes to shooting action. And also the tone is all over the place. It starts off like you're watching The Sadness. Then it goes into then it becomes like a Hallmark Christmas movie, or a Christian movie you'd find on like Pure Flix, the Netflix version, the Christian Netflix. And I'm like, am I watching this? I had to look. I thought maybe I thought our screener had put a different movie halfway through, because I was like, this has gone so. I mean, it was like one of those cheesy like Christian movies, and I was like, almost like a Christian after school special, and then it goes off, and then it becomes like a 80s 90s revenge vigilante flick, but with and then it goes off into Crazyville. This film's a little bit of a mess, and then you have all these cameos that kind of pulled me out of the movie. Like when you see, why is Tommy Lee DJing? It's like all these little things pop up, and it almost seemed like somebody just had a wish list of all these people they wanted to put in a movie, but it really wasn't needed. And then you have a protagonist who's probably one of the worst protagonists, and when they're trying to compare him to like Die Hard, it just makes him look even more idiotic. So yeah, this I mean, and it was kind of cool to see like one of my acting pals, Gigi Guston, has a small part in it, and I mean acted well, but I don't know, the whole sort of Hallmark aspect of it just felt tone wise off from everything, you know. And then I mean, you kind of want him to like be like that big sort of vigilante death wish type. I kind of wish it went full, like it just went full exploitation, you know, vigilante film. You know what I mean? But they went off on this really weird tangent with this sort of side story. I mean, you know, it's interesting, I guess, but overall, I was like, what? This doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it definitely doesn't hold back on the gore, although some of the editing with the action scenes of the gore isn't done well. But yeah, it's shot well. It's got, you know, it's lit well. But it's a little bit of mess in a movie. It's somebody threw some gummy bears in the meatloaf. It tastes a little weird. So I'm going back to food analogies now. Are you
gummy bears in the meatloaf? That's it. That's all you need to hear.
That's going to be on the box.
Gummy bears.
Sure they're gonna
it's like a gummy bear and a meatloaf.
Yeah. So that's my first impression.
Jeff Morriser, what was your first impression of the Retaliators? You got gummy bears in your meatloaf?
Yeah, you're right. It does change gears. It's kind of all over the place. I wondered where the opening scene came from, considering the following like 45 minutes, even, I think.
Did you not recognize that the guy that was the guy that we are following, that it was a flash? It kind of went back. Was that not obvious? Oh, well, it was obvious to me. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
It was so fast. You got such a quick look at his face. It just was like blood covered. Floop. He disappears. Yeah. If we're talking about the same guy. Anyway.
Yeah, we are. I mean, he has a whole line.
No, I wasn't sure. It crossed my mind, but I wasn't sure at all. I don't know what to say. I'm not, if people listen to these shows for really long, they know I'm not a big metal fan, but I thought the music fit well. I don't know the people, although I did recognize Tommy Lee, but not for the reasons you guys might have thought. But I recognize him, and 2
N's and 1 Y. And that's not where you think.
I'm trying to think that. One of the things that bothered me is maybe I should leave this for spoilers.
Okay.
So I will. But the ending is I kept waiting for the violence to really kick loose rather than just being mean, and it finally did. And I kind of enjoyed that. I mean, it was just all out blood all over the place. But it's a mixed bag.
I don't know what film did I watch? I had a blast with this. I enjoyed the shit out of it. Now, I will admit, I was going in expecting this to be a disaster, but I was surprised how much I was enjoying it. And I didn't have the strong negative reaction you did to the cut from the cold open into the story. Because now I knew where it was going to lead. I knew he was going to end up there, and I wanted to find out how he got there. And of course, he's a preacher, so it has the preaching into it. But it's also challenging his faith, challenging this moral stand he has. Because he doesn't even want to punch the guy from Clerks. Like everybody wants to punch the guy from Clerks. Come on. And then of course there's this horrible death of his daughter, which we get to see, which is terrible. And then there's a bad guy, and then there's a cop, and then the cop gets and then it gets straight into Horrorville. It goes from killers to straight up something akin to cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers in a lot of ways. Not always, but in a lot of ways. I don't know. It won me over really quickly with that cold intro. And then I was on board for the rest of it, and I enjoyed the cameos and the ones that I recognized, and the ones I thought I said that must be one, and that must be one, because I didn't know who they were. I kind of thought that I presumed like the motorcycle gang was Five Finger Death Punch. Am I right?
Yeah, you're saying it correctly. Yes.
Yeah, the bicycle gang, and they were, where's my $2? There's a reference that I think only Christopher G. Mohr knows. I don't know. I had a good time. It's gory. It's got I don't know. I enjoyed it. What can I say? I don't even know if I can defend myself.
Fair enough.
I mean, I will say the big fight at the end I liked.
That when all the
that ended up being
cannibals get loose, right? So we're in spoiler.
I'm talking about the final fight.
Oh, the final fight. You
The
didn't
final
care for
fight.
the unlock of the
And that was
gates and-
stupid.
Oh.
And then they had like had superhuman strength, dragging people 100 feet away. It just got a little ridiculous. I don't think being tortured is going to allow. I think you wouldn't have much physical abilities if you were tortured as much as they were tortured. But
well, I mean, they were trying to say they had changed into these creatures. Evolved,
well, I mean, I guess I also had expectations like maybe the cocaine is tricked or something.
Oh, maybe.
I thought that was going to be the thing because they made him, the opening made him just seem like almost like superhuman, like being able to. I mean, the guy's literally somehow dragged underneath the car all the way to the opposite into the road. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
it didn't bother me. Yeah,
I will say it's sacrilegious to say this is anywhere near Evil Dead. I'm sorry, as an Evil Dead fan,
I know a lot of people are comparing it to that.
I will say I was thinking Evil Dead when I was watching a lot of the scenes, the way they were, but not that they were successful, but they were trying.
At the very beginning,
Dead, and that's no Evil Dead.
But at the very beginning, when he opens up the back van door and his face is all bloody, he kind of looks like Ash in Evil Dead.
Well, I mean, I can see they were trying to go for it, but it doesn't. It's not. Never going to be on that level.
He was definitely once he got covered in blood and they started to fight. He was doing his best Ash impression. And they were doing some camera work to try to reinforce it too.
No, he's no Ash. I'm sorry.
I didn't say he was. I just said he was trying his darnest to do it. So I mean, I'm with the camp saying, yeah. I mean, I know it's not on the level of Evil Dead, but you can see the influence.
I can see how people might want to connect that. But to me, that just shows how much it is not Evil Dead. Because it's not. I think one of the biggest issues I had is the editing. Somebody doesn't know how to edit action, or they don't know how to shoot shots to be able to make the action flow. Because there's just really bad cuts to there's parts where heads get ripped off, and the way they show it doesn't flow well. It's very, very, very shoddy, and that's and it's kind of sad because I will say they do a pretty good job in lighting in certain scenes. The use of lighting and shooting subjects and stuff. There's some. I will say that. There's some nice rack focus in certain scenes. So some of the camera work looks really well, but I think, however, that they figured the shots they wanted to select, and whoever edited the film, they don't really have a good idea on how to edit action stuff, and that comes off, pretty obvious, at least to me.
Yeah, there are 3 directors, so I imagine.
Well, there's your problem right there.
Not always, but maybe.
You could be Coen brothers and be able to do well, but yeah,
and one of them is the lead. Right.
So, well, was it sound? Was it the guys that did Ready to Die? No. What are they did VHS sound something? No, I can't.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The people did
Ready or Not. Yeah, Ready or Not. That's what I was trying to do. That's 3 or 4 of them. So
yeah, but again, that they do it really well. But here, I almost feel like that maybe that's why parts of the film feel very disjointed, and we've seen movies recently where you can go hard cuts to totally different types of stories, and it works.
We did. We saw a real good one recently,
yeah. Or even Nope does that too, but it's very jarring, and yeah, it is one of those things where how do we go from this crazy zombie-like scenario to Christian Hallmark movie
Well, it's established. I mean, I know it's establishing the character
to
that's gonna-
80s revenge film, and it doesn't always work. You sometimes you can't mix stuff together to make it taste good.
I think they put the right flavor of gummies in their meatloaf. That's what I'm saying. They put the right.
I think you have COVID. I think you've lost your
It's a problem.
Maybe I lost my taste.
It's a problem of texture.
Yeah, and
well-
again, I don't. I mean, I see some good elements in this film, but they don't work for me. And I literally thought I was watching the wrong movie.
Mm.
I mean, that's just how bad it was for me.
Wow.
So I read that, and I don't understand at all. So I read that the writers, their sister was assaulted in 2004, raped, and it took years for them to catch him, and then the guy finally got put in jail. And so that inspired them to write this revenge film for the family members of the people that are assaulted. But I thought, wow, it would have been nice to give a female character just one little inch of control over their lives, because there's except for once the thing is released, I guess there's a woman in the locked up in the cell, but
The one that sold her baby to a pedophile.
yeah, but well, yeah. So the one, yeah. So anyway, there's no females making
like
any
$40 or
positive
something.
moves in this, and now that I've said that, I'm going to go to the daughter, who's the point of this whole thing, the minister's daughter. I'm like, okay, so your hands are tied to the steering wheel. Is there a reason why you can't put your foot on the brake? Did I miss something there? Did he tie her up?
Stop thinking logically.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying.
That's a good point. Yeah, your hand is tied to the thing. There's nothing stopping you from pushing the brakes and stopping the car.
But at the same time, it's kind of fun when you run into a Chekhov's wood chipper. You know,
There was a huge Chekhov's wood chipper. So what? Did you guys
that's coming back. We know that.
Do you like Sheriff Jed, the man with the plan?
He was a good actor.
Menchaca? Is
Yeah.
that who you're?
Yeah, Marc
But-
Menchaca.
Oh,
But
Jed.
I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, Jed.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know. I kind of wish I don't know.
I liked it when he was challenging, the preacher whose name was Bishop, by the way. That do it, act on your anger, act on it. And he was trying to push him to get that Ram Katie guy and do some damage to him.
I kind of wish he had.
Played by Joseph Gatt. What did you think about Joseph Gatt as this amoral bad guy? Was he intimidating? Was he intimidating? Scary at all?
Not really. They just seemed to be like run of the mill. They all looked the same. It wasn't anything really stood out to me. It was just a bunch of people that they could kill.
He's at the battle at the end, so spoilers. You like the battle? You like the battle at the end, right?
I like the battle between the two guys at the end. I don't like the stuff before that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, between Bishop and Ram. So,
I thought he was good because he felt like a good bad guy. I think mainly because he's the big muscular guy with a bald head.
Yes.
I
like the little bite out of his ear after, that's good effects there.
Right.
Yeah.
Bite out of his ear. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5 on our favorite scene. Dave, let us know what you think, sir.
I think I pretty much said all I have to say on this. It just didn't do much for me. It's being marketed as something that it's not. It's being marketed as a rock and roll metal film. You want to see a good rock and roll metal horror film? What was that one from a couple years back with oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. I hate when I do that. What was that one from a couple years ago where they were fighting with the dildos and stuff? Oh, why can't I remember it?
Deathgasm.
Deathgasm. Yeah, that's a good rock and roll metal horror film. This is not a good rock and roll horror metal film. This is like a Rob Zombie film took a shit. I didn't. I just didn't really care too much for this whatsoever. It's all over the place. Yeah, it's just not a good movie.
Wow.
I will, however, give it a 2.
I will, however, give it a 2.
I'll give it a 2.
Good measure.
I was very, very disappointed for all the reasons that Christopher and everybody else had pointed out. It's just a bit of a mess of a movie. It could have been salvaged a little bit. If they had utilized the heavy metal talent a little better, but that wasn't the case. Favorite scene, I'll tell you, I don't even know if I want to say I enjoyed it, but I thought the opening sequence at least showed a little promise.
Yeah, it was a good.
That we might have been on to something. It ends with a nice beheading. So I'll go with that whole opening sequence. Although if I'm ever in a car with somebody else and the tire blows out and all she does is sit there and chew her gum while I'm getting slaughtered while I'm changing the tire, I will be very pissed.
Yes. And
just so you know.
All right, Christopher G. Mohr, you're up next. What's your final thoughts? Your score, your favorite scene. Ta-da.
Well, it's definitely not. There's parts of it definitely my non-favorite scenes. I mean, to me, it is kind of obvious they're trying to push the whole heavy metal aspect of it, which to me it was. It got a little much. It's like how many times we have to have like a rock song pop up for no reason.
Why do you say that? I'm going to ask Dave for a quick while. It's on my mind, so forgive me. Who was the guy in the coffin that had been in there for a long time and was wanting to get the water from the squirt gun? Was that was that just a random actor, or was that one of the cameos?
Well, it did not stick to me that it was a cameo. If it did, it snuck past me. I just thought it was a random actor guy.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Christopher.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's like I said. I think it's shot competently, and it's got some good, interesting elements, I guess, story wise. But then it has, again, I hate the opening thing in the church. I think it feels like a really bad. I almost thought, is this the first time there's like a Christian vigilante movie? Is this what this is going to be? Are we going to convert by the end of this film? Is this where this is going? I mean, it just looks so like watered down and oh, wait a minute.
You got some quotes. Oh, no.
This is the level of dialogue. When the guy brings his cocaine, he's like, this cocaine is white as Snow White's ass cheeks. That is the level of dialogue we have in this film that I hope I never write anything like that. But anyway,
that's awesome.
Getting back to the movie. Tone wise, it goes in a lot of different places, but not efficiently or not succinctly or not logically, and it doesn't work. I mean, granted, I don't mind if you have some kind of character who's has a doubt in their faith or struggles with their faith, and that's fine, but I almost feel like they should just let him go crazy earlier. If this had turned into like one of those exploitative vigilante films by the end earlier, I would have, he was like taking on the gang. That would have been fun for me because I grew up during the the Exterminator and Death Wish and all those movies back in the day. I kind of like those films, and it would have been more interesting. But it's I don't know. Tone is all over the place, and the editing and certain action scenes don't really work. And it's got some. I mean, luckily it's not one of those films when you include heavy metal people, it's obvious they can't act. I mean, they were good for what they were doing. So yeah, and I think you have that opening scene which it doesn't live up to later. But there is a sort of there is some stuff later on, I think, when the blood starts pouring and people's
Body parts start flying.
Body parts start flying. It gets more interesting, but then again, it comes to play. You can realize it's whatever directors or whoever picks certain shots didn't know how to make them flow between each other, or didn't know how to shoot gore. Sometimes I think sometimes it made the gore look bad, even though there's so much gore. So, I mean, there's some cool stuff. I mean, there's like the opening scene when you see like the blood splatter inside the van and stuff, but then when you're trying to make something so realistic and you have people like have supernatural powers, you know, and I guess that's why people made the Evil Dead reference, even though that's total sacrilege to me. Anyway, let me go on, move on. I'll give it a 3.
Oh, okay. That's
I'll
better
be
than I
nice.
thought.
I mean, it like I said, it's shot competently, you know, and it was nice again to see one of my actress friends, Gigi Gustin, in a very small part. And it has some interesting ideas. It just doesn't do them effectively. Although I will say, this goes to my favorite scene, the mano fight between the bad guy and him, and when he pulls that he sticks that thing in his eye and he pulls his eyeball out.
That was awesome.
I mean, he doesn't just like pull it out of his eyeball, he pulls the whole eyeball out. And I was like, oh, I like that was a really cool gore scene, and I think that worked effectively. But the fight between them two was more interesting than anything else that happened in all the film to me.
Well, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Dave, real quick, Jeff, sorry. I looked it up, and the guy that played the dude in the box, the coffin, is from the Who, H-U.
The Hugh.
Yeah, the Hugh. And his name is Naya Jensen Jaya Galsen Jamps.
How could I possibly not have known that? I am so sorry.
I'm
so embarrassed.
Doc,
you just told me his name, and I have no idea what any syllables of his name are.
It sounded like you had a stroke there.
Well, what's funny is I probably pronounced it absolutely 100% correct.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. No. Jeff, what was your final thought? Just go your favorite thing.
Well, I'm with, I think I'm kind of along the same lines. This is okay. Don't watch this if you have a problem with misogynistic stuff. Don't watch this. If you have a problem with lots of blood, don't watch this.
Well, the horror fan is not. It's gonna have a problem with
lots of blood. There are lots of people that don't like gore.
The more torture version of it.
Yeah. Really, the only scenes that really bothered me were the bar stripper scenes. I just thought I wasn't quite. It seemed out of place with the rest of the movie to me. I mean, I know they were trying to show how super mean all these people were, and I don't know. And the other thing that bothered me is the pastor, the minister, the lead character is like everything that happened at the end was all his fault.
Yep.
Because he unlocked the friggin' door. What?
Yep.
And you know,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's what it took to turn him around. But having said all of that stuff, I'm still going to give this a 3 because I kind of enjoyed the violence. I'm with Christopher on the editing because there just were some awkward jumps in some of the stuff. Like when the lead guy gets, you know, they throw open the doors of the van and he gets pulled underneath it. We never, the next scene, the next cut, he's like away. 15 feet down the road from and on the other end of the van. How did that happen? So I don't know. Maybe they filmed it and it didn't work or something. But at any rate, it had a big gap. Favorite scene. I think Christopher took my favorite scene. I was going to say the eyeball plucking.
You're welcome.
So I should have come up with more than one, right?
Yeah. The sermon. Which one? There's like 3.
Yeah, not the sermon.
Because it ends on another sermon too.
I'll say when he punches the guy and says "Merry Christmas" at the end. I mean, that was sort of the bookend scene of the original one where he wouldn't do that. So.
I kind of wish he said "Mother ever."
Yeah.
I really was waiting for that.
Christmas, right?
I mean, I kind of didn't like it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
It's hard to
obvious
pick
what
out.
was
It's hard to pick out one gore scene out of there because it just was so constant. The eyeball one kind of stood out. But
I got one. My favorite scene you guys didn't get anywhere near. So cool.
go for it.
All right. I had a great time at this. It matched what I was expecting and more so than I thought it was going to be. So I had a good time with it. I didn't have as much problem with the dialogue. I just thought it was part of, everything fit what I was expecting out of it. So, and I thought it was far better shot than I was, afraid we were going to get it. I was like, oh crap, this is actually good. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. So I had a good time. I enjoyed it. Yes, there are editing, and I did write down that when the biker gang, not the bicycle gang, but the biker gang comes in, and all the chuddy people come out and attack them. It's so edited so weirdly, you can't tell who's getting what, and I did notice that. But the van, well, they're chuds. They're basically become chuds. But the van thing didn't bother me. I was like, oh, okay, I get what they're doing. I guess I was ready to go with it. Anyhow, so I'm going to give it a 3.5. So it's not much more than Jeff, but I was going to give it 3.5. And my favorite scene is there's one particular fight where on the run, Bishop gets cornered by like 4 or 5 of the chuds out in the woods, and he's got the machete, right? Or one of them has a machete, and he ends up with it. And this one guy comes along, and he just goes whoop and like chops him off at the ankles, and the feet are just sitting there. Yeah. And then later he's like crawling to get him, and I'm like, this is great. I thought that was hilarious. It was a
very sharp machete.
I know, it's like that is never going to happen that way, but it's awesome.
Very brittle bone, perhaps.
So and that's not the only type of absurd gore that's in this. There's a lot of it toward the end, when especially, and there's like no way this airbag would be able to fight off all these guys, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, at least the one guy didn't try to do something sexually to him. Well, I will say I'm kind of glad they didn't really go into sexual violence as much as they could have, because they kind of hinted at it in certain parts.
They did. It got uncomfortable at times. They just like, do I really want to be watching this kind of film? But then they just go zany. The last act goes zany and over the top, and that's when it really gets into it.
And then it goes to a sermon.
And then it goes back to the sermon, and then he goes punches a guy over some golf club. All right. There you go. That's our review of The Retaliators. Now it's up to you to decide what you think of it, and let us know in the comments down below. We want to hear everything and more. Yes. Christopher, Jeff, Dave, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. At least it was for me.
I think you got yourself worked up as you were talking along, and you actually raised your score by the end.
You think I raised my score?
Seemed like it. Yeah.
He does that sometimes.
I think you're converted. I think you're converted by that sermon.
Before we know it, Halloween 2 is going to be in his top 10 movies of all time.
Halloween 2, yeah. Okay. Damn it. I was thinking you were saying like this is like if Rob Zombie took a shit, but I was thinking like, man, if Rob Zombie could only make a film like this, if you're doing something better, that was so much funny. So
this film didn't meet the Rob Zombie fuck quota.
No, it didn't.
It was far short.
It was going for that. It wasn't going for that at all. All right, well there you go. That's our free retaliators. We got to get out of here. Let's all say good night.
Good night.
Good
Have a
night.
good one.
Gruesome Magazine.